Turning Point USA, hosting an alternative Super Bowl halftime show. You know what, Q? You sent this to me. Before I even read this article, I want you to paint this picture and share your thoughts. I want to know them personally, and I'm sure our listeners want to know too, why you think this is noteworthy and interesting.
Yeah, before you even get into the article, a really interesting thing happens in this country where they try to rebrand white supremacy or racism as patriotism and American when they're doing deliberately racist things. It's like they'll tell you that racism is bad, which is why they don't like being branded that way. But then they go do the most racist things imaginable. They complain about things in a way that makes it very, very clear. Oh, your problem is that I'm black. Or your problem is that he's speaking Spanish. Or that he's brown. Or I guess we're starting to learn that they work in construction or farming or hospitality or really any industry where you can locate and isolate people of color in this country. They make arguments about immigration and the legality of it. But notice that the thousands of videos that you've seen, you don't see any white immigrants being stolen from their families and thrown into trucks and vans and driven off into the darkness with no answers and no explanation. So things like this Turning Point halftime show are such huge jokes because we watched a MAGA media person make a fool of themselves by trying to point out that this was a non-American artist headlining the Super Bowl, only to be told by a less conservative media person that, oh no, he's from Puerto Rico. So yeah, he's American. And that person then sat in silence, I'm guessing dumbfounded and embarrassed that they'd made such a public fool of themselves. Last year, the problem was Kendrick Lamar. Even though he's an American citizen from Compton, California, and did an entire show in English and even wore red, white, and blue. And so did all of his dancers. And they formed an American flag. It was as American as they come. And that was a problem. You had Beyonce doing, the Netflix Christmas Day game, singing country music in the heart of America, also in English. And then they'll talk about, the bands they love, where all the members are white, but none of them are American. And they'll tell you how awesome those shows are. So, Ramses and I had a list posted on Civic Cypher. I'm not sure if it's still there, but there's all of these acts.
It's got 1 million. It's got 1 million views now.
All these mainstream white acts that people very aggressively, wrongly assume are American because they're white. And the only person on that list, and who's also the only one being complained about, is the only American on the list. And that's Bad Bunny. So counter programming the Super Bowl so that you can present an anti-brown show, and that being the only purpose, is laughable. I hope this is the most watched Super Bowl halftime in the history of television, because that would just be a really, really funny thing to experience. But when you get into this story and you start reading about the categories, it'll become even more clear that racism is once again the answer.
Yeah. And I want to say this, like Turning Point USA, they're in my estimation, a lot of what it is that they stand for is founded in racism. And there's like a veneer of patriotism that allows for their, I guess, their talking points.
Patriotism and Christianity, Rams.
There you go. Thanks for that. Yeah. It allows for those talking points to exist in a mixed society. This is just the right way things are done. This is the legacy and that sort of thing. I'll say this. I'll add this. The United States of America does not have an official language. The reason that the United States of America does not have an official language is because the people that founded this country, yes, they came from England, and they spoke English. So there is no American language. We speak English from England, for people that don't know. But at the time when they were putting the country together, when you would have an official language, we famously don't have an official religion because this land was founded so that religious freedom could be practiced. But the reason there's no language is because most of the people in what was the United States at that point in time spoke German. So having an official language would not have made sense, right? And now in this country, the second most popular language spoken besides English is Spanish. And you can imagine why, because a huge chunk of the country was stolen basically from Mexico. I think it was by James Polk or something like that. It was basically stolen the same way that we stole land from native tribes and all that sort of stuff, and just bullied our way through this continent. And so that's the reality of the situation for people that do have an issue with a Spanish language musical Super Bowl halftime show. What an inconvenience to you that must be. How sad for you to just not be able to enjoy the music. What a sad life you live. I'll share the article. This is from BINnews.com. Turning Point USA, the right-wing political group founded by late conservative figure Charlie Kirk, has announced plans to host its own Super Bowl halftime show in response to Puerto Rican superstar Bad Bunny being announced as the headline performer per HuffPost. The new event, dubbed the All-American Halftime Show, celebrating faith, family, and freedom, seeks to offer a conservative alternative to the traditional show amid MAGA backlash over Bad Bunny's upcoming performance. In a survey on its website, Turning Point USA is gauging potential viewers' musical preferences, including classic rock, worship, and anything in English. Many right-wing figures, including President Donald Trump, have voiced criticism over Bad Bunny's upcoming performance. Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem suggested that immigration and customs enforcement agents should target Bad Bunny fans at the game. I want to come back to that. During a recent appearance on right-wing podcaster Benny Johnson's show, Corey Lewandowski, a senior advisor at Trump's Department of Homeland Security, also warned of ICE's presence at Super Bowl LX. Quote, "There is nowhere that you can provide safe haven to people who are in this country illegally, not the Super Bowl and nowhere else," unquote, Lewandowski said. Okay. I want to say something. I want you to have the last word here, though, Q, obviously, because this is more your speed. But I want to say this. First off, again, Bad Bunny fans, Bad Bunny is Puerto Rican. That is a U.S. territory. He was born with a United States birth certificate. So was everybody else who was Puerto Rican. If what you're trying to suggest is that illegal immigrants are going to somehow be at the Super Bowl for this halftime performance, and that you need to dedicate the country's resources to apprehending these people who are here, poor, working in, jobs that many of us would not work in. If you think that they could afford Super Bowl tickets, that's asinine. And if you know that they can't afford Super Bowl tickets, then your racism is on full display here. And your lack of intelligence is on full display. And that's it. You can go with that. Q, I want you to have the last word. So any closing thoughts?
Lewandowski also said, "We will find you. We will apprehend you. We will put you in detention facility. We will deport you." This is a very real situation under this administration, which is completely contrary to how it used to be, except they'll be showing up to do that to citizens who are black and brown. They're not going to find a trove of undocumented immigrants who can afford $1,000 Super Bowl tickets. So if they're going to use all those resources, they're going to bully and make a show out of being inhumane to people of color. And that is who they are at this point. And that is the entire point of their entire movement. Inhumane, evil, mean racism. Full stop.